Whoa, come on.
In order to challenge a record, a young man disregarded all danger and began walking a tightrope between skyscrapers 10,000 meters high. His only tool was a single balance pole. Although every inch he moved was a test on the edge of death, he knew that once he took the first step, there was no turning back. The onlookers below unconsciously held their breath, terrified that the man might lose his balance. Fortunately, under the anxious gaze of the crowd, Brother Chang, the protagonist, successfully reached the opposite side. Everyone thought he would call it a day. However, just as the police officer reached out to pull him to safety, Chang suddenly placed the balance pole on his shoulder and abruptly turned around to face the starting point. Seeing this, the police officer was nearly scared out of his wits. But Chang had already begun striding back. Under the terrified gazes of everyone, he walked back to the middle of the steel cable without incident. Unexpectedly, he stopped right there. Slowly lowering his center of gravity, he actually laid down on the wire in the high sky. This scene instantly tightened the chests of the crowd below. Just as Chang was enjoying his sense of achievement, a seagull suddenly appeared and swooped toward him. The frenzy and the police to make a name for himself. This man ignored the risk of death to perform on the wire between the skyscrapers. This crazy behavior quickly spread to every corner of the city. Countless spectators came attracted by the fame surrounding the area until it was impenetrable. Receiving the news, the police, referred to as FO/FBI, rushed to the scene. They immediately detained Chang's accomplices and tried to persuade him to stop this madness. Just when everyone thought he would stop, he turned around again. This broke the officers out in a cold sweat. Before they could figure out what was happening, Chang walked steadily to the center of the cable and, shockingly, lay down on it again. While the crowd on the ground was shaken to their core, a fierce seagull dove at him. Fortunately, the seagull was just passing by and did not attack, allowing Chang to narrowly escape death. However, as someone who loves a challenge, he was unaffected and continued to perform various high-difficulty moves according to his original plan. The conclusion after a long performance. The text exaggerates this as 2.5 years, though in reality it was about 45 minutes. Chang finally finished all his moves. Satisfied, he began his return. The police watched with sweaty palms, fearing an accident at the last moment, and indeed, trouble came. Just as he was about to reach the starting point, a sudden gust of wind blew, causing the cable to sway violently. Chang managed to lower his body in time to stabilize himself, narrowly escaping disaster. He then tossed the balance pole to the police in front of him and stepped onto the rooftop. Due to the prolonged muscle tension, he collapsed to the ground immediately. The police gave him no time to catch his breath. They detained him on the spot to take him to the station for punishment. However, during his detention, a large group of reporters rushed over. Under the spotlight, his heroic deed spread everywhere, and he instantly became the focal point of the city. The backstory: who could have imagined that just a few months ago, this influential figure was just a street juggler. He performed daily for meager tips but never tired of running around. Until one day, he accidentally saw the skyscrapers in a newspaper. His eyes were instantly drawn to them, and a crazy idea quietly took root. Half a month prior, he was an unknown street artist. Now, relying on this high-altitude walk, he became an idol who made the whole city boil with excitement. The origin of the dream: days earlier, after returning from a street performance, the image of the twin skyscrapers standing like giants in the city center struck his heart like a hammer. He conceived the idea of attempting the unprecedented high-wire walk. When his father learned of this, he was furious and strictly scolded Chang to stop this crazy thought. But Chang was already obsessed and couldn't listen. After a fierce quarrel, he left home in anger, resolutely choosing to chase his dream. In the days that followed, he practiced frantically. To train his balance, he even used his girlfriend as a counterweight. However, one day, just as a reporter arrived to interview him, the wire under his feet snapped and he fell. Although not seriously injured, he realized that passion alone was not enough. He needed systematic training. He went to a friend's circus to learn from veterans. The execution: months later, having mastered all high-altitude skills, he began his debut in the city center. Months of hard training gave him a strong mindset and perfect balance. He successfully completed a challenge under public scrutiny, focusing on the unprecedented feat at the skyscrapers. He spent days observing. Finally, choosing a windless night, he and his companions quietly snuck into the building with their equipment. Under the cover of night, the steel cable connecting his dreams was strung between the buildings. As the sky just began to brighten, countless spectators had already gathered. Chang took a deep breath and stepped onto the wire, beginning the scene of his dreams. At this moment, his mind was clear of distractions. It seemed he was not 10,000 meters in the air, but in a routine training session. Under the nervous gaze of the crowd, he completed the first crossing. But he didn't stop there. He turned around to return to the start, leading to the scene described at the beginning. In the end, Chang successfully fulfilled his dream. His heroic story spread throughout the city, encouraging countless young people to bravely take the first step toward their own dreams.